Hello, stampers and crafters. My name is Patricia. We are here today starting a Card Making 101 series. And in this series, we are going to explore... Oh my goodness, I see a moose outside my window. Anyway, I live in Alaska, so you never know quite what you're going to see and where you're going to see it. But we are going to explore stamps today. We are going to explore the types of stamps. And because I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, we are going to look at Stampin' Up! Stamps and the types of stamps that we have and how to use them and get the most out of your stamps. So we will also, though, have some upcoming classes on ink and paper and adhesives, a lot of Card Making 101 beginning things that you might like to know, as well as the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So there'll be a lot of upcoming classes for us to look at. For now, let's quickly look at the types of stamps there are and how you know what they are in looking at them in the catalog. In this case, this is a cling stamp. You can see right there at the end of my thumb, it says that this is a cling stamp. And we'll look at those in a second. And then over here, this one says that this is a photopolymer stamp set. So let's look at those and see what that is, what that means. This is a cling stamp, and I can tell right there on the front of the card packet or stamp package that it is a cling stamp. And so when I open that up, I see that cling stamps are red rubber stamps. And something you'll notice that's different, when I go to pick those up, look how I'm pulling a little bit on the edge and then I peel it up. But cling stamps have the red rubber here, but they've also got a cushion right here. And that makes a difference. That gives it a firmer impression when I use those stamps. This one also happens to have some dies, and I happen to keep mine in the package here with my stamps. On the front, it also tells me how many stamps are in this package. And so I know that if I go to look here and I count 7, I know that I have the number of stamps that are supposed to be in this package. Now, when these come, they come like this. They're in a case or in a red rubber set, if you will, package. And the labels come like this, and you do need to attach those labels. And so to do that, what you're going to do, I've already done this one, is you push it out or punch it out of the casing. You take the backing off of it, and you can just throw that away. And then you find the corresponding piece that it goes to. If you can read it, you're on the wrong side. So you need to turn it over and find the seam right down the middle of that. Take that backing off. There we go. Now this is very sticky. You have one chance to get this on correctly. So I don't want to do it in inside that case. I want to lay it down on a nice flat surface. I want to hold it carefully. I want to line up those edges just like that. And then I can peel this back, and now my label is perfectly aligned on there. And I can put it in my folder. Now, I can put it in here like this, or I could put it back in here. And some people do. And I did that for a little while, but it sort of drove me crazy after a while. So I put the labels on and then just put them inside the case, and I'm good to go. Whoops, this has got to go back in there too. Don't want to lose that, do I? Well, hello. Okay. The other kind of stamp that we have is a photopolymer stamp set. The photopolymer stamps, if you look at them, they're clear. And so if I open this up, I can see that all of my stamps are clear. I can see right through them. And the advantage for this is that I can see through it, particularly like these two stamps to make my strawberry. I can see through them. And so I can align them just perfectly. Or these two leaves, I can line them up just perfectly. Or the stem, I can line them up. I can also line up my sentiments when I want to put a sentiment on my card. And we're going to see that here in just a few minutes. So those are the photopolymer and the red rubber or the cling stamps. Then what we're going to do in every Card Making 101 video is we're going to create a card, and this one's going to be a very, very simple card, but we're going to create that card using whatever it is that we're talking about. And today we are going to create a stamp or a card using the In Bloom photopolymer stamps for this particular project. And these are all of the stamps that we're going to use. Trying to get them all in the viewing there. By the way, if you want to go to Stampin' with Patricia on Facebook, you can get the current host code. I was going to put it on here for May 2021, but I think because you might be watching this in July of 2025, you know, the code wouldn't make any sense for you then. All right, so let's look at these stamps. We are just going to create a very simple card with stamps, ink, and paper. And this is our card base. It is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and it is 5.5, half of the 11 by 8.5, and then it is scored and folded in half again. So basically it looks like the size of a quarter of a piece of paper. And we are going to stamp on that. Now we talked about when you have those red rubber stamps. Remember I said it's got that cushioning on it? Well, your photopolymer stamps don't have that. They just have a simple plastic photopolymer, if you will. And so there's no cushion for it. So we want to have a cushion, or we're going to use the Pierce Mat to push into so that we get a better impression. Now, this is my stem for the flower that we're about to use and make, and it's very, very gently curved. There's not a lot of curve to that. If I want to have what was intended originally, I can lay it down on a piece of paper and then pick it up with my block. These blocks are what we put our stamps on, as you can see with all of these, so that we can press. You wouldn't want to try to press this in on your card. You'd see how it kind of flops around and whatever. So, whoops, I want to pick that up again. Now, as I said, if I want it to have the natural shape, I pick it up like that. If I want it to be a little more bent, I can bend it a little bit more. Just pick it up on there, off of there, and bend it. It's a little more bent. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my, that's too much. There we go. I've got my stem. I am going to get my ink for my stem. This, by the way, I didn't show you this, is Soft Succulent. Soft Succulent is one of the new colors that is coming out in the new catalog that starts May 4th. And to open this, I don't know if you noticed that, but you hold it sort of like you used to hold the old compacts, and you push on the back, it'll pop open, then you swing it over and push it in. If when you first get a color, it's hard to push that in, you can take and rub some wax or chapstick or something like that on the edge of that, and it'll make it move a lot easier for you. So I'm going to give it a couple of taps. I like to sort of move it around. I've done a lot more than I would normally do. Now here's something I want you to notice. Because this block is a little too large for this stamp, I've gotten some extra ink on there. Can you see? Let me see if I can put something white under that. Can you see that ink? You can see it really easily now, right? So I don't want to get that ink on my card. So I can either take and rub it off like this, or paper towel. But now I've got ink on my fingers. And so I'm going to wash that off real quick. But what you want to do is to put your stamp on an ink pad that is the appropriate size for the stamp that you're using. For example, this one is on a little bitty block. By the way, these blocks have numbers, or not numbers, letters. This is an H. The reason I tell you that is when I first started with Stampin' Up, I probably had been selling for a year before I realized that the letters were on there. I would go look it up in the catalog, and what shape does that seem to be? So this is a B shape. This is, or B size. This is an A size. This is again the B. I think this is a D, yes. And so you put your stamp as close as you can get it to the size of the block. Now, this one, I could put it on this block, this stamp on this block, but it's a little... Either way, the stamp itself is so small that you're going to have a hard time finding one that's exactly right. So this is close enough. And I'm going to put my stem, and notice I'm holding it. I let it stay in contact with the card for a little bit so that that color transfers. Now, I said I'd talk a little bit about cleaning my stamp. And what I do is I take my Shammy and I just rub it on there. That takes the ink off just fine, especially on these photopolymer stamps. Then I'm going to take my flower, and notice I also have paper on top of my Pierce Mat, so that if I go off the edge of my card, that I have something to stamp onto. So I just thought I'd let you know that. Okay, so I'm going to, again, a couple of times, tap it on there. And because I can see right through it, I'm going to put my stamp on my card. And there you go. I'm also going to take my leaf, again, 2 or 3 times on there. Give it a nice little leaf. I might even do another leaf on the other side. Now, you'll notice that one leaf is going off, one is really close. Does it matter? Do plants out there have any? No. So just don't worry about that. You know, leaves are natural. So, and sorry, I am cleaning my stamps as I go along. One thing you'll notice about the photopolymer stamps is that sometimes they will get color. Let me get these out of there so you can actually see that. See how these have a little bit of color to them? Whoops, wrong one. There we go. So that's okay. That is not a problem at all. It does not mean that there's anything wrong with them. You'll notice these are not sticking too well right now. So all I really need to do is take and wash them a little bit, and they will be just fine. So I've got my stem on there. I've got my, what do I have? Oh, wrong ink. I've got my flower on there. Now I'm going to take the center of this particular flower. I'm going to use a black ink, And I'm going to, the nice thing about photopolymer is I can tell how much ink I have on there. Did you see that? I'm going to stamp off. This is what we call stamping off, when you stamp onto something to get rid of that ink. See, if you look at that, you can see that I really don't have good ink coverage. Now I'm going to stamp on there a couple more times, and you can see that now I have pretty good ink coverage. I'm going to put that right smack in the middle of that. Again, hold it there for a couple of minutes. My flower, it's pretty simple, but it does look kind of nice. And then, remember, this is just stamp ink and paper, and that's all you need. Now, to close these, I'm going to reach in there. I don't want to get my fingers in the ink, so I'm going to pull it off here and close it. The black that I used is Tuxedo black ink, and I'm going to use that for my sentiment. And so I'm going to put happy birthday, you really are the best. And it's out of that same stamp set. Move it around a couple of times. I want to be sure I've got good ink coverage. And I want to make it as straight as I can. But again, you know what? These are homemade stamps. Nobody's expecting it to be perfect. And there we go. I have got a card, and it was that easy. Stamps, ink, and paper, or we call it SIP. Okay, so I've got stamps, photopolymer. I've got stamps that are cling or red rubber stamps. I have used some ink. We'll do another class on talking about inks. And I have a little bit talked about cleaning my stamps. We'll talk more about cleaning our red rubber or cling stamps the next time when we are actually using those. I hope you enjoyed this today. Again, my name is Patricia. If you want to go to Stampin' with Patricia on Facebook, please feel free to explore the cards that we have made there, make any comments, ask any questions, and I would love to have your business with Stampin' Up. Thank you.